All right. Welcome to Module 17. This is the encoding presentation, and also I'm going to introduce an extra credit opportunity. All right, let's begin. Seemed very official what I said today, but okay. Encoding. There we go. So what we're going to go over today, I'm going to teach you how to write in master scene format. So this is referencing back to module 3, write script and pre-production. We looked at the formal elements of writing: character, narrative, dialogue, structure. But today I'm actually going to teach you the specifics, right? How to actually write a script in proper format using Celtic's software. And then I'm also going to recap what a shot list is. This I mentioned, I believe, with cinematography, but we'll go back to that. We're also going to cover storyboards, and I'm going to talk about an extra credit opportunity. All right. So the script. If you remember, back in module 3, I believe it was, or 4, might have been module 4, but our script and pre-production module. The screenplay is in 3 parts: scene heading or slug line, action lines and description lines, and then character cue boxes with dialogue. Again, the official term for this writing format is master scene format. All right. So for a scene heading, so you introduce a scene heading every time there's a new scene in your script. The first page in a script, the first thing you write is a scene heading, usually. And then as you write out the scene, once that scene is over and you transition to a new scene, there's going to be a new scene heading. To write a scene heading, the format is this. It's either INT or EXT. INT if your scene takes place inside somewhere. EXT if your scene takes place outside. So let's kind of go with this example here. So I'm going to go interior, so INT period, space, location, and write the location in all caps. And also, just to be clear, this whole slug line is in all caps. So INT period, location. So the example I'm using is classroom. So interior, classroom, and then dash, day or night. Don't worry about putting like a specific time. The production just needs to know if the shoot's going to be day or night. So we have INT period, classroom, dash, night. That is a totally appropriate scene heading. I'll show you a few other methods, but this would be fine. But something else that you can do, which I'll talk about, if you want to sort of like establish where that classroom is, maybe at the start of your script, you'd say exterior, community college, night. And then you would just write establishing for an action line, and then your next scene slug is, or I should say slug line or scene heading would be interior classroom night, right? Then we know it's within the community college. So there's a few other ways you can do it too, but don't worry about that yet. We'll go over that. Then when you change scenes, so let's say we write out an entire scene that takes place in the classroom, and the next scene in the script takes place in the cafeteria at the community college. Then you would introduce a new scene heading. So INT period, cafeteria dash night, interior cafeteria night. All right. Whenever there's a location within your location, add a dash. So I have a sort of example below, but also when you return to that location, if time is supposed to like pass, then you want to mention that it has, and you'll say like later. So for example, I have my first scene heading as exterior baseball park dash bleachers day. So this is telling the director and the crew that the scene, it takes place at a baseball park, but specifically we're shooting in the bleachers, right? Maybe it's a dialogue scene between 2 people in the bleachers. Then we have interior baseball park locker room day, exterior baseball park baseball diamond day dash later. So that's telling the production that time has progressed. Maybe at this point the baseball players are now out on the field. And then exterior baseball park dash dugout dash day. Again, kind of similar to our first example. This is a location within the location. So we have an extra dash after baseball park. Okay, once you write the scene heading, the next thing you write are some action lines, specifically description. So the first line of action after your scene heading is describing the location. So what does the scene look like? You don't have to go super in depth with production design, but just mention some generalizations. So if my slug line is interior classroom night, my description could be the classroom is large with dozens of desks and bits of trash scattered about. You could write whatever you want. I usually try to keep location descriptions pretty brief, like a sentence long. But you know, if you want to mention other things, you certainly can. Okay. Then after you describe the location, you want to do hit enter, and then the next action line is going to be let me rephrase this. The second line of action informs the reader of who and what is going on in the scene. So after I describe the location, I say who is in the scene. Bob, 85, sits in the back of the classroom. He stares at the dry erase board with a hazy look. So I'm going to pause here for a second, and I'll repeat this in a bit. But notice when I introduce who's in the scene, Bob, Bob's name is in all caps. And then I do comma, the character's approximate age, comma, what they're doing in the scene. So Bob, all caps, comma, 85, approximate age, comma, sits in the back of the classroom. He stares at the dry erase board with a hazy look. After I introduce a character in all caps, the next time you write the character's name, just write it normal, case sensitive. Case sensitive doesn't make sense, but just write it not in all caps, just normal capitalization. Okay, some notes for action lines. Again, when you introduce a character, the format is name in all caps, comma, approximate age, and then you could just say what they're doing in the scene. Another suggestion for action, I would keep lines of action somewhat lean, with each line of action is about 2 to 4 sentences each before you hit enter, so they're on their own line. There's no, general rule for this, but always think about when you're moving to a new line of action. Sometimes a technique that writers use is when they think of like other shots or things that you would want the director to kind of focus on in the scene, like a specific character beat, you might put that on its own separate line. Make sure to stay in active voice. So for example, Bob sits at the back of the classroom, not Bob is sitting at the back of the classroom. All right, then as you're writing out your scene, what your character is going to do in the scene, what's going to happen in the scene. Again, the action lines kind of take care of blocking and description. But as soon as you start writing dialogue, you have another format you kind of have to follow here. So for dialogue, you need to use a character cue or a character box before writing the dialogue. So the name of the character who is about to speak goes in the middle of the page after your line of action and is also in all caps. I'm just going to pause here for a second. I'm also going to walk you through on how to use Celtics. Celtics is a free screenwriting software and it formats all of this for you. I'm just kind of giving you the overview. So don't worry about thinking that like, oh, I'm gonna have to open up a Word document and try to approximate this spacing. You're not gonna do that. You're gonna use Celtics. Okay, but this is what it looks like. So Bob is our character. He's gonna have the first line of dialogue here. So I have Bob center to the page. And then the dialogue would be written into the sort of like left indent. So character box, and then you're gonna write the dialogue under the character box. So Bob, when are we going to watch a movie? So we have our character cue and then their line of dialogue. You can also add things called parenthetical directions, but you should be careful with those. You don't want to over direct on the page, but if a character is supposed to have a certain performance note when they deliver a line, you could put that as a parenthetical underneath the character box. So we have Bob sleepily, when are we going to watch a movie? Or you could do Bob to himself, when are we going to watch a movie? right? Anytime you want to put like a little direction on the dialogue, you just put it as in between parentheses. Okay, so this is kind of what our script would look like. Interior classroom night. INT period classroom dash night. First line describes the location. The classroom is empty. I kept this one brief this time. The classroom is empty. Now I'm saying who's in the scene. The classroom is empty aside for Bob, 85, who sits at the back of the class. So I briefly described the location. I introduced the character in all caps. I listed their approximate age, and I'm saying what they're doing in the scene. He stares at the blank dry erase board with a hazy look. Now I have some dialogue. Bob, sleepily, when are we going to watch a movie? And rarely do you want to end a scene on a line of dialogue. So maybe I would, I don't know, maybe add another action line after this line of dialogue saying, Bob jumps out of his seat and stomps out of the room. Then we have a new scene heading, interior cafeteria night. The cafeteria is empty with trash rolling about. Bob sits at one of the 50 empty tables and sips on a cup of coffee. Bob, that's some good job. Ooh, yeah. There we go. So now we have two scenes. And I'm also going to write a scene in Celtic, so we'll do a little bit more. A couple of notes. When you're writing a screenplay, figure 1 page equals a minute of screen time. That's, again, sort of an approximation, but that's a good rule of thumb. Make sure to not overwrite. When you're writing action lines, don't write it like you would a novel or like prose. Just keep it to observable action, stay in active voice, keep the action line somewhat clean and not overly descriptive. Again, it's just kind of talking about blocking what the characters are going to be doing in the scene and action. Only put character in caps in the action line when they're first introduced. And again, make sure you use software. You're going to be using Celtics. I'm going to walk you through that process in just a minute. Celtics is free, but, and also just to kind of tell you now, I made a walkthrough video on how to register for Celtics and how to use Celtics. So I'm going to show you, but then also know that there's a video linked in, I don't know if it's actually linked in this module, but I will now that I'm thinking of this out loud. But it is linked in the extra credit assignment, so you can just check out that video whenever you need to. Okay. So, oh yes, when you're registering for Celtics, and again, the video walks you through this, but when you hit sign up, all you need is your email, okay? And you can use whatever email you want. However, Celtics wants to sell you on their like premium package. Don't click it. Just scroll to the bottom when it's telling you like, hey, what package do you want? Just scroll to the bottom, and on the very bottom, there's a free option. Choose that one. And again, you will not have to add any sort of financial information. If you're doing that, you click the wrong link. Go scroll to the bottom, click the free one, and all it'll ask you is for your email. Okay, so we're gonna write a couple of scenes in master scene format, and excuse me, a couple of things that they've updated since I made that video. Excuse me, sorry. Is how to add a title page and also how to download your script, because for the extra credit assignment, you have to actually submit it. So I'm going to show you how to add a title page and download in addition to writing 2 scenes. So here we go. Stop share on that. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. There we go. Okay. Let me make sure this is, yes. Okay. So I'm in Celtics. I'm in my account. Once you register, you'll see that your account will look just like this. To create a new script, you actually have to also create a new project. So I'm in my account. I have one project right now, but I'm not going to open up that one. I'm going to create a new one. So I'm going to go over to new project, and I can choose what kind of script I'm going to write. I'm going to write a film and TV script. Project name, just go ahead and name it whatever the title of your project is, or title of your script is. I'm thinking of this top of my head. The Great The Great I don't know. Great Carnival. Great Carnival. We'll see where this takes us. Okay, then you hit create project. All right. Now you choose, obviously, between these three, which one you want to write. Do you want to write a screenplay? So click that. All right. Any second now. Here we go. So now you're on a blank page. A couple of things I want to show you. Notice, and again, I don't know if you can see my icon, so I'm using my spotlight tool for now, but pretty soon I'm going to click out of it, so just kind of try to keep track. This is your toolbox essentially, and this is going to allow you to move between scene headings, action, and character cues. You can also use keyboard shortcuts, which I'll call out as I'm doing them. And so I want to make sure I draw that out to you. And also notice as soon as you start a script, it gives you this gray box. And if I click in that box, that's where I'm going to write my scene heading. And you'll notice that box comes up whenever I move back to a scene heading. So I'm just going to kind of talk it through as we write a scene. And as I go through the process, remember, obviously you'll have this video to go back to. And maybe I should just show you. We won't watch the whole thing, but I just kind of want to show you how the video walks you through it. I thought I had this open. I guess I didn't. My bad. Okay. So, sorry about the delay there, but I'm going to share my screen now. There we go. Okay, so this is the video, and again, this is linked in the assignment. So if you decided to do the extra credit and you'd help some additional help with using Celtics and writing in master scene format, you could check out this walkthrough on your free time. Well, I guess as you're doing the assignment, I don't know if that's free time, you're doing homework. Anyway, as you can see, it walks you through from the website for Celtics, which I believe I have linked. Oh, I don't. Well, I don't, but I have it listed in there. So go to Celtics.com. And I should have the link in the assignment description too. Okay, and I walk you through on how to sign up. Okay, and again, remember, when you sign up with your email, click down to the free version. And again, all I'm doing, we're not going to watch the whole thing, but I just want to remind you that this is going to walk you through the whole process as well. So please don't feel overwhelmed as I'm talking about it now. I promise, I have notes along the way. Okay. So again, check that out. But for now, we're going to do just kind of a quick demonstration. Okay, so here we are. So we just started a script. Let's start writing it. Let's start with the first scene. The name of our script is The Great Carnival. We'll see what narrative comes up. I have no idea. I'm making this up right now. But we'll do a couple of scenes. So let's kind of get this started. So I'm going to start with my scene heading, my first scene of the movie. Okay, well, my name of the movie is The Great Carnival. So maybe it's about like a kid excited to go to the carnival. It's a great narrative. But let's try it out. So these are a couple of things you could do. So I'm going to actually do this, and I'll just talk it out as I do it. So I'm going to go E, X, T. And notice, as soon as I hit E, Celtics knows that you're either going to do INT or EXT. So I could literally just click EXT and I'll fill it in. My location, I'm just going to list house. Now, be careful when you do something like house, because obviously if you're writing like a feature length script, you're probably going to be having several houses. So sometimes you want to put like ownership on the house. So maybe even though we haven't introduced any characters, I would say something like Frank's house. Okay. Dash, time of day, either day or night, we'll go day. Now I'm going to hit enter. And to be clear, I'm going to go one step back. I'm just clicking back in my scene heading. I did not have to hit caps lock or anything. Celtics knows. So I just typed it as is and everything came through as in all caps. Now I'm still in my scene heading. Check out my toolbox. It still says scene heading. If I hit enter, now the toolbox says action. My cursor goes into the blank space underneath where I can write my action lines. What else do I want to say here? If I click back in my scene heading, make sure you hit enter to get to the action line, because if you stay in the scene heading and you go to your toolbox and hit action, it will make that an action line, which you don't want. So I'm going to go back, scene heading, hit enter to go to the next line. So I'm going to describe the location. And something you could do for something like this, if like pretty soon I'm going to actually cut into the house, right? My next scene is going to be taking place inside the house. I can write something like establishing. And this just tells us that there's going to be like an establishing shot of Frank's house. And I might want to describe it. So I'll say a small ranch home that sits in the middle of suburbia. In the middle of suburbia, as cars slowly drive by. And again, you can keep being descriptive if you want, but I think that's going to be about enough for me. You know, maybe I'll say 2 cars sit in the driveway and a red bike lies in the grass. And I'll come back to why I wrote red bike in all caps. Whenever you want to sort of emphasize a prop that you're going to use in your script, usually you want to put it in all caps in your action line, because again, this is sort of a call out to the production designer and the director. And the only reason I'm saying a red bike is because we're going to come back to that in a minute. So we want to introduce it early to make sure that, you know, when they're filming this scene, that they're placing that red bike in the scene. Okay, so I introduced the house. I said it's going to be an establishing shot. I introduced a critical prop. I'm going to hit enter again. And no one's out here, so I'm not going to, you know, introduce any characters. But let's go ahead and create a new scene. So I just hit enter again. I'm going to go up to my toolbox and hit scene heading. Excuse me. And I'm going to go back one more step. Notice if I hit enter and if I hit control 2, I think it was control 2, maybe control 1. There we go. Control 1 is the shortcut. So you could just create a new scene heading like that. And the way that I erase the scene heading is if you just hit backspace while you're in the scene heading, it'll take care of it. Okay, so I'm gonna hit enter, and I'm just gonna use the toolbox because I find it kind of easier. Scene heading. Now I'm gonna go interior, INT, period, Frank's house, dash, and now obviously a house, Frank's house is gonna have many rooms. So I probably need to be a little bit more specific. I need to talk about a location within the location. So I'm gonna say Frank's bedroom dash day. Now here's a couple of things you could also do. For screenplays, you'll see some of them are written like this. It'll say, we, what do I want to say here? I can say, we cut into Frank's bedroom which is full of horror movie posters, stapled, sure, to the walls. Or something like, again, so let me kind of back up. So sometimes you'll see in scripts, they'll say like, we do this, or we see Frank toss around in his bed as he wakes up. So sometimes you see writers do we, but what you shouldn't be doing is saying something like this. We cut into Frank's bedroom and use a wide shot, low angle, low angle. Now I'm trying to remember our format. Wide shot, low angle, frontal. Am I doing that right? I'm trying to remember our labeling format. I think it's like that, right? So wide shot, low angle, frontal of Frank as he snores in bed. You're never going to put shots. Don't list shots. Some scripts will list things like we push in or we move in. For the most part, stay away from that. Stay away from anything like that. Keep it objective. So my suggestion is just sort of continue writing it like this. Again, just observable action, active voice, describing what we're seeing on the screen, what characters are doing in the scene. So I'm going to have another version here. Okay, so interior Frank's house dash Frank's bedroom dash day. And I'm just going to immediately describe the location. Frank's bedroom is messy with only glimmers. I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but sure. No, with only a trickling of light, of daylight from the bedroom window. That's not great, but okay. Frank's bedroom is messy with only a trickling, with only a bit of daylight. That's maybe a little bit better. With only a few rays of daylight from the bedroom window, providing. Yeah, you don't have to be that descriptive. I don't know why I am. But let's describe maybe some of the set design. The room is full of sports-related decor. Notice I have Grammarly installed on my computer. That's how I'm doing that. The room is full of sports-related decor, along with several shelves of baseball trophies. Now, again, depending on where your narrative is going to go, you might want to do an all cap of baseball trophies. All right, so I think that's enough. Now let's introduce Frank. Let's make Frank 14. Frank 14, again, notice I do all caps. His age, lies in bed and stares up at the ceiling. Okay. This is a really great script. Frank 14 lies in bed and stares up at the ceiling. Now there's a few things you could do. One thing I want to introduce is dialogue. So let's actually kind of get a scene going. So Frank is lying in bed looking up at the ceiling. Then we hear a knock at the door. If you're going to do something like that, any sort of like major sound effect, just do it in all caps. So I'm going to go knock. Oops, knock, knock. Okay. Frank turns to his bedroom, his closed bedroom door. I want to say that. Closed bedroom door. Susan, 18, opens the door. Okay, and now also when you introduce characters, if you want, you can mention things like costume design. You could mention, if it looked like they just woke up, any sort of character description, you could do that too, but you don't have to. And if you are, you can be, as descriptive as you want. There's no really concrete rules aside from the few things like the 3 requirements. So Frank turns to his closed bedroom door. Susan, 18, opens the door. Susan, okay, so let me talk out what I'm doing here. So we're going to start a little bit of a dialogue scene. So I introduce Susan. I'm going to hit enter. So I'm into my action line, a new line here. If I hit tab, notice my cursor goes in the middle of the page. So I'm going to go back one more time. I'm going to hit enter. So we're going to have Susan say the first line of dialogue. So when I introduce a character speaking, and I'm going to start some back and forth for a conversation, I need to create a character queue or a character box. So to do that, I'm on my blank space. I could hit tab, and notice my cursor goes in the middle. My toolbox goes to character, and I could just type in the character's name, S-U-S-A-N, hit enter. Oh, whoops. Interesting. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's try this one more time. Susan, why is it doing that? Okay. Well, I don't know if this is like an update. If it is, it's annoying. But it used to be when you write a character queue. So again, I was doing it just fine. So Susan, I just write her name. And again, notice my toolbox, it says character. Normally, if you hit enter, it will automatically go to dialogue. It'll space it correctly, but it's not doing that. So I'm going to go back. Let's try space enter. Still didn't do it. So I'm going to go back, hit enter, then hit tab again. And then it goes to dialogue. But again, it shouldn't be doing that. That's pretty surprising. Okay, so character Susan. For now, let's work with this. So I wrote my character queue, my character box. I'm going to hit enter to go to the next line. Now, for some reason, and again, this is new, it's staying in character, which we don't want. We actually want to go up to the toolbox and hit dialogue. Okay, and then you can write dialogue. Or if you hit enter, well, it did it that time. There we go. Again, you should be able to just hit enter and it should snap to dialogue. For some reason, it wasn't doing it, but normally it works just fine and it's doing it now. So we introduced Susan's character. Now let's give Susan some dialogue. Hey, are you ready to go to the carnival or what? Okay, so I'm just typing up her dialogue. Susan, hey, are you ready to go to the carnival or what? Now we're gonna have a little bit of a conversation. So I'm gonna hit enter, and notice when I hit enter, it automatically snaps to character, because Celtics knows, hey, if you're introducing a dialogue prompt, you're probably gonna start a conversation between characters. So I wrote Susan's dialogue with her character queue. Now I'm gonna write Frank's. Frank. Hopefully if I hit enter, it'll go to dialogue. There we go, thank goodness. Again, I don't know why I was doing that before. So if you write Frank's character queue, now I'm going to hit enter. It snaps to dialogue. You see it in my toolbox, and I can just write Frank's dialogue. What is Frank going to say to Susan? Hey, are you ready to go to the carnival or what? Do I really have to go? Okay, let's keep a little conversation going. Frank says, do I really have to go? Susan, again, I just hit enter. Notice Celtic snaps back to character. It automatically knows that I'm probably going to do another character prompt. And what should happen if I type S, there we go, Celtic saves the characters that you have already created character queues for. And I can hopefully just hit enter and it'll autofill for Susan. I'm going to hit enter again. Now we have dialogue. Again, thank goodness this is working now. So now I could just write Susan's dialogue. So Frank says, do I really have to go? Susan, well, to be honest with you, I could kind of care less if you go or not, but mom and dad want to have the day to themselves, so we have to figure something out, period. Okay. I don't know where I'm taking the script. Let's hit enter again, keep this conversation going for a few more lines. Frank, is there nothing better to do? Okay, now let's maybe introduce a little bit of blocking and action during this conversation. So they're talking right now, again, to the reader. It seems like Frank is still lying in bed. Susan is still at the door. Well, let's get Susan to actually come walking in. So Frank, is there nothing better to do? I'm gonna hit enter. This time, again, notice we snap automatically to the character cue, but I want to write some action because I'm introducing more blocking. So I'm gonna go to action. Susan walks into the room and sits on the corner of Frank's bed. Susan walks into the room and sits on the corner of Frank's bed. Okay. What is Susan gonna say? So we have a little bit of action in between. I'm gonna go back to dialogue. I'm gonna hit tab. That's gonna bring me to my character cue. Susan, enter, enter. Is there nothing better to do? I don't know. But well, okay, I don't know what's going on here. How about we'll give it to this to Frank. Frank, why are you sitting on my bed? Susan, because this conversation is about to get serious. Enter, Frank. Serious about the carnival. Susan. No. Out. Dad. Uh-oh. Drama. Okay, so they're still talking. Enter. I'm going to go to action. Frank sits up. Enter. Frank. Susan, it's too early for a serious conversation. It looks like I misspelled serious up there. Serious conversation. Susan, it's too early for a serious conversation. Susan, this is getting very melodramatic. You can't keep running from this. Dad. This is terrible. Getting a divorce. Frank. Yes, I know. Okay. Dot, dot, dot. A little bit of a pause. Oh, maybe I'll do this. So I can do dot, 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 maybe a little bit of a pause. If you want to add a breath in between dialogue, you do Frank, yes, I know, period, enter, go to your action line. And sometimes you'll see, whoops, not action. Sometimes you'll see something like beat, which just means like a bit of a pause before the next line. So maybe I go beat, Frank, yes, I know, even if no one ever said it before. Okay, that's one thing. But what I'm going to show you is interrupting. So Frank says, yes, I know. I'm 14, but not stupid. 14, but not stupid. And I could have. Okay, so now Susan's going to interrupt him. And if you ever want to have an interruption, you're going to do dash, dash. So 2 dashes. And then I'm going to go enter Susan. And I'm going to add a parenthetical. So to add a parenthetical, hit enter. Once you're in your dialog prompt, hit tab. Okay, now you could write your parenthetical. And if I can spell it right, interrupting. Right, there we go, interrupting. Hit enter. Now you're in your dialog. So Susan's interrupting Frank. So Frank says, yes, I know, I'm 14, but not stupid. And I could have Susan interrupting. No, you are stupid. Beat. Susan smiles and Frank starts laughing. This is the, oh boy, this is great. Okay, Susan smiles and Frank starts laughing. Enter. Frank, how about that carnival? Susan chuckles. Please write a better script than this. Okay, Frank, how about that carnival? Susan chuckles. End of scene. Let's write one more scene, and then we'll get out of this terrible script. Well, how about we get some bike riding going on? So if you ever sort of want like traveling or some sort of action, you can make it pretty general, like exterior. Whoops. See, I already was doing what I shouldn't have been. So I hit enter. I'm going to create a new scene heading because we're moving scenes. We're changing locations. So scene heading. I'm going to go exterior. And you can do something like streets, okay, dash day. And you could do something like Frank rides his red bicycle along with, whoops, how about while Susan drives a motorized scooter. This is really good. Okay. Frank rides his red bicycle while Susan drives a motorized scooter. And again, so I'm going to throw this in there, the idea of we follow them through a series of streets. Okay. Then how about we get them to the carnival? Scene heading, exterior, carnival. I'm gonna do dash entrance, dash night. We'll say time passed by the time they traveled there. Action, whoops, action, establishing the entrance of the carnival is lit by a large blue neon sign that provides otherworldly glow. Frank, Susan enter the carnival. Also, something else I'll just kind of throw out there really quick. Let's say, this is just sort of like an extra thing, but let's say Susan drove Frank to the carnival. If you ever want to do something like that, just do interior, Susan's car, dash day, enter, driving. Susan is behind the wheel as Frank sits passenger. So that's another way you could have done it. And why don't we actually do that? So I have a bunch of scenes going on. Maybe now I'm going to do a little bit of editing. So I decided, you know what? I actually don't want them to be riding bikes together. I want Susan to drive Frank so they could maybe have another little dialogue scene. So I'm gonna actually remove some scenes. If you ever want to remove scenes, it's just like a Word document, highlight, hit backspace. But something that I want to show you really quick that's pretty cool with Celtics that a lot of other screenwriting softwares, including softwares that cost money to use, don't have is this little navigation tab. If you click navigation, notice it gives you all of the scenes that you created. So I have scenes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's say, you know what, I need to remove exterior streets. It'll snap right to it. Excuse me, delete, delete. So now that scene's gone. And then maybe, you know what, now I don't even know if I want them to go to the carnival. So I'll delete that scene too. So now I have Frank's house establishing, the little scene in Frank's bedroom between Susan and Frank, and then I have the interior of Susan's car, day, again, driving. Susan's behind the wheels, Frank sits passenger. I'm gonna end the script very soon, but I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I want to show you. One more thing I'll show you is if you ever want to do like voiceover or narration, you would do it like this. So we set up the scene, what the characters are doing in the scene, and maybe now Frank is going to offer some narration. So we know Susan is driving, Frank sits passenger. Now I'm going to write Frank, enter, parenthetical, VO, that stands for voiceover. Whoops. There we go. It's getting a little goofy here. There we go. Frank VO. It was the summer of 2005 when I found out that my sister is my best friend. Okay, so Frank voiceover, it was the summer of 2005 when I found out that my sister is my best friend. Let's go to action. Susan glances over at Frank, who's staring out the window. Susan, what are you thinking? Frank, my red bicycle. Oh boy, I gotta stop this script right now. Okay. Susan slams the brakes on the car and smack. Frank hits his head on the window. That's how our scene's gonna end because I'm done with this story. So notice again, there's no real requirement of how you do something like this. But notice just what I did, right? If there's like a big action, Susan slams the brakes on the car. I offered the 2 dashes again for sort of an interruption of an action, smack. Again, you don't have to do something like that. Just follow the basics, keep your action observable, walk through the scene with blocking and action, and write your dialogue properly. Okay, so that's our little script. Let me show you now how to add a title page. So to add a title page, let's see if I can remember. You go to File, incorrect. You go to Edit, there we go. You go to Edit, Title Page, and now you can fill in your information, and you can literally just click, okay? So title, what did we call this? The Great Carnival. Great Carnival. Byline, just write by. Then author, your name. Based on, it should, if you don't type anything, I think it just leaves it blank, but we'll find out. So there we go. There's our title page. Then if you go back, okay, again, let me show you how I did that. Title page, click this arrow, and you're back to the script. Okay, so once you've written the title page, it'll show up right under navigation. You can go back and forth. Okay, so now let's export this script. So right now it's just a internet document. So you need to export it as a PDF so you can submit it to the assignment. Again, you're going to upload this just like you would a doc for an assignment, but let's go ahead and export this. So to export, you're going to go File. You're going to go down to Print, Download PDF. Don't go to Export Script. Go to Print, Download PDF. Okay, and there's a few things you want to check here. So notice as soon as you start it, it'll give you a little preview box. And luckily, we were correct that if we leave the other stuff blank, it doesn't show up. So here's my title page, The Great Carnival by Zach Pistachio. Scroll down, you can start to see the script. So it kind of gives you an overview of what the script will look like. And as you can see, this looks pretty similar to any of the scripts that we've looked at in class. The training day script. What else did we look at? Training day, a little bit of Hail Caesar, and Doubt. So again, we see this is master scene format. It looks pretty legitimate. Sounds good to me. So now let's download it. Before you download it, you want to check a couple of things. So where it says print the following, right? You can choose a few things. Make sure you choose title page and script. Now let's download it. So hit download, and it's just like Google Docs. It'll go straight to the downloads on your computer, which I have right here. Again, if you have questions on how to upload downloaded documents and stuff like that, I did that all in module 1. So you can just check that out. And it's the same exact process, okay? So I think that's all I'm going to cover right now. All right, so that's master scene format. Okay, so let's stop the share, and I'll delete that script forever. All right. So, okay. So script help. On Canvas, there's a folder in files for some additional resources, the Celtics walkthrough video, some sample scripts. I have a student's example script in there from a previous assignment, and I have the script for Mean Girls on there that you can look at for format. This presentation, you can always email me if you have any questions on screenplay format. And I also provide this website, and it's the website's great, but the organization is terrible. John August is a screenwriter. He wrote, he wrote Big Fish and Go. But more importantly, he's really good with information into the screenwriting process. And if you want to do outside research and you have a question on like a specific thing, like how do I write an action sequence, a fight sequence? Again, there's no real strict rules with that, but if you want to see other examples, something I would suggest is just go to Google, type in writing fight scenes, comma, John August, and I guarantee it'll bring you to a blog post by John August where he goes over that. So it's a great resource. I already showed you the walkthrough video for Celtics, which goes over, again, not only how to use Celtics, but also other pieces of information into master scene format. So make sure to check that out. And I'll show you the assignment listing for the extra credit. So you can all write a script now, right? It's super easy. We wrote a 4-page script. You know what, maybe I'll show you. I should probably show you the download, just so you know what it looks like. And I'm going to share just to kind of show you. Where am I? There we go. So give me 1 second. I'm just opening document. Okay. So I just opened my script from my downloads folder. The Great Carnival by Zach Pistachio. Exterior Frank's House Day, establishing a small ranch home, blah, 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 blah. We have my entire script, and you can see how many pages it is. So I wrote 3 pages in what, 15, 20 minutes. of complete nothing. So you can tell it's, unlike a book or a novel, scripts are much easier to write, at least in my opinion. And there's much more spacing between it. So I don't know if I have anything to say about that, but yeah, you can see we just wrote a script in master scene format pretty easily. Okay, I just want to show you that. So you can all now write a feature-length script, use the theory, so everything in module 3, again, I'm thinking of getting my modules mixed up, but the script module, understanding how to, create an interesting character, the features of a round character, the 7 elements of character, creating a strong backstory, empathy, making the will to act meaningful, all that stuff. This is the most accessible aspect of filmmaking. As you can see, writing the script is super easy. It's free to do. It's the only part of filmmaking that you can do entirely on your own that doesn't cost you any money. So if you're interested in it, I suggest exploring that and start writing up some content. I hate that word. Start writing up short films or feature films. Be careful of paying for any seminars or screenplay competitions. If you have questions on submitting your scripts to competitions, let me know. And I also have this Prezi in here that I made a long time ago when I was in college for a class. But it's just a bit of information regarding the sort of business side of screenwriting contests and contests that I would recommend not auditioning, sending to, some information on each competition, like how much it costs to submit, stuff like that. So if you're interested, check out that Prezi, or let me know if you have any questions. Yeah. Okay. And keep that in the, trying to think of an analogy, keep that on the back burner for now. So I'm going to go over the extra credit assignment soon, but first I need to cover just a couple more things. So a shot list. I mentioned a shot list a while ago, I think back with cinematography, but a shot list is created for every scene that is to be shot. It's usually done in pre-production. It consists of how the director and director of photography want the scene shot / covered. So everything from, covering actors for their dialogue, using master scene what things they want to get close-ups on, what things they want inserts of. It's just literally a list of what shots the director wants to execute in a scene on a given day. And the format is, very similar to our labeling format. I mean, it's really identical. Shot, scale, angle, position, movement, subject, action. That can change. Sometimes they'll be much rougher and they'll just say something like close up, Bob's eyes. Like they just know they want to get that in the scene. That being said, for us, I want our full labeling method because, again, I'm going to get to the extra credit assignment in a bit, but it's going to ask you to write a script, a short script, and then also a shot list for your planned coverage for that one scene. Okay, so shot list format. This is how I would like you to write it. And again, this is for the extra credit encoding assignment that I'll get to in a bit. But just on like a Word document, write the scene. So just say like interior kitchen day. Then start listing your setups numerically. So setup number 1, close up, high angle, frontal, gas burner on stove igniting. Shot number 2, close up, frontal, kitchen knife getting sharpened. Shot number 3, wide shot to close up, frontal. We dolly in to Sheriff Karen Sinclair. And you just keep building out more and more shots. And again, it's just a list of what shots you want for your scene, how you plan on shooting it. So this is just a quick example. If this is like a little scene that I wrote, and then we'll do sort of like an adaptation of this with our shot list. So if the scene is interior bank, Susan's office day. The office is well kept with a retro 1950s Art Deco design. Susan Foster, 40, sits behind her desk and types away on a typewriter. Susan wears a red pantsuit and a plaque. Well, I should probably rephrase that. It should probably be Susan wears a red pantsuit, period. And a plaque sits on her desk that reads, Manager, Susan Foster. Susan continues to type until knock, knock. Susan, without looking up, says, come in. Okay, now this would be my shot list. And again, you can do your shot list however you want. I want to know how you want to shoot your new scene, which I'll talk all about later on. You can approach it however you'd like to. So this is one example. So this would be one shot list. And again, this is only 3 shots. You're going to do at least 10. But I have interior of Bank Susan's office, shot number 1, close up, high angle, frontal, fingers punching keys on typewriter. Shot number 2, close up, frontal, hand pushing, carriage return. That's the little like cha-ching thing on the typewriter. Shot number 3, medium shot to close up, rear to frontal. So now I'm offering some camera movement. So I'm saying we dolly out from behind Susan, truck around Susan on knocking, and then dolly into Susan's face when she says, come in. So that's one take. Now this would be another. Wide shot, 3/4 frontal, Susan at desk and typing on typewriter. Shot number 2, close up frontal of hand knocking on Susan's door. Shot number 3, close up low angle frontal, Susan when she says, come in. Doesn't matter, however you want to approach it. That being said, you're going to be creating at least 10 setups. So what you're not going to do is just say wide shot, the entire scene. Wide shot, profile, the entire scene, right? Encode it. You've been decoding all along. Now you're encoding. So use your cinematography tools to make creative choices and encode your scene with further meaning through the 5 elements of cinematography. The only things you need to mention are the setups and any camera movement. But if you want to write about lighting or color palette or anything else, please do so. I would love to read that. And maybe there'll be an extra credit if you do something like that. Additional extra credit, I should say. Okay, storyboards. You do not have to create storyboards. You're not going to be creating storyboards for this assignment. However, it's just something I need to go over. And this is something I mentioned back, I think, in cinematography. And I just need to kind of tie this loose end of what a storyboard is. So a storyboard is a shot-by-shot breakdown of a scene, how we would see it edited in its finished form, that uses sketches of how each shot will look. So it's essentially a shot list, but with sketches, and storyboards have like empty frames in them that directors literally draw in their compositions. Written descriptions may accompany boards to include shot type, dialogue, sound, and music. Again, I just talked about the use of an empty frame on a piece of paper. Boards are usually done in pre-production with the director, usually the director of photography and storyboard artist. Some directors do the storyboards themselves. They draw the storyboards. Ridley Scott is famous for doing that. This is the guy who made Alien and Gladiator. But he storyboards all of his movies. He draws all of them himself. He storyboards every shot, where most films only storyboard like certain scenes, like scenes of maybe action that take a lot of time to execute. So they want to kind of get down their compositions ahead of time. So again, it's essentially a shot list, but with sketches to communicate composition. So this is one of the rare times. Well, that's actually not true, right? Because I did the Noah Baumbach video this semester too. But this is just a YouTube video that I pulled from who was it? Rocket Jump. So this is one of those like I didn't really edit, but they do a really good job explaining storyboards, and it's much longer, and I edit it down to like 2.5 minutes. But for the most part, this is all from them. But this video is just going to kind of reinforce a few things that I said and show you examples of storyboards. So let's check that out.
Storyboards are illustrations that represent the shots that will ultimately make up a movie. They allow you to build the world of your film before you actually build it. There aren't any strict exacting rules on how to do storyboards. Conveying information is what's important. Storyboards are ultimately a technical document, a tool. So it doesn't matter if you're a skilled illustrator or not. This can work just as well as this.
Wait,
You could take care of this.
yeah, it's no problem. Tell him to put it on my tab.
Even if you struggle with perspective or can barely draw a stick figure, you can still convey what types of shots you want and their basic composition. Let's break down the parts of a storyboard. The panel, or frame, is a rectangle that represents what the camera will see. A person drawn really small in the panel is a wide or establishing shot. A big head taking up half the panel is a close-up.
What an excellent day for an exorcism.
You'd like that?
Deciding where you put the person in your frame is the basis of your composition. This may seem really basic, but this has a huge impact on how you prepare for your shoot. These illustrations give your cinematographer a starting point. Things like camera angles, lighting, depth of field, the whole gamut of decisions can be informed by the storyboards. Now let's talk about camera movement. Camera movement arrows also aren't really standardized, but let's go over some common ways camera movement is illustrated.
Open the door!
Dolly movements are typically done with one arrow, often narrowing a little bit to suggest movement in or out of 3D space. Both dolly shots and zooms can also be illustrated by placing arrows in all four corners of the panel. This shows a widening, or narrowing of perspective. You can draw a panel within your panel to show how far your dolly or zoom goes. Clearly conveying information is key. When you take panels with angle, composition, on-screen movement, and camera movement, and then combine these panels into a sequence, you have the foundation of your movie. There's also plenty of other alternatives to storyboarding. Stanley Kubrick used actual photos from his location scouts to find his compositions. Ultimate goal is planning and clear communication. So whatever tool is going to help you prepare and share your vision the most, use it. It'll pay off when you get to set, and will help empower you to make the best film possible.
Okay, so again, pretty self-explanatory. I think they summarize a lot of the major concepts there. All right. Thank you, Rocket Jump. Okay. Again, you're not creating storyboards, but as you saw, they don't need to be elaborate, right? They show the example from Martin Scorsese's that are, drawings that I could draw, and I'm a terrible drawer. But some storyboards are pretty striking and quite detailed. It all depends. Again, rarely is a whole film storyboarded, usually only large sequences. Again, ignore the 4R assignments. You're not creating a storyboard for anything. I mean, if you want to create some sort of like digital storyboard and send it in, again, I'd be happy to check it out, but it is not one of the requirements for our extra credit assignment. This is just another storyboard that I stretched out way too big on this slide. Again, our video showed us plenty of examples. Okay, so let me talk about the extra credit assignment. So I'm calling this the encoding assignment, okay? It's due December 8th by 11:59 p.m. It is worth 50 extra credit points. Again, this is extra credit, optional. You do not have to do this. Excuse me. What do I want to say here? So yes, what you're going to be doing is basically take the film that you did your analysis paper on and now create a new scene that contributes to the thematic objective or changes it. In addition to that, I know that probably takes quite a bit of planning. So you can also just write an additional scene that builds up the character in some way, or a new character, or I'm sorry, not a new character, a pre-existing character in the script. Maybe you just want to add an additional scene that gives us a little bit more character backstory, or a little bit of more character depth, which in some way will probably link to your thematic objective. But I want you to play around with things like using dialogue as thematic exposition, dialogue as character building. So you're just creating a new scene. You can also, if you want, do an alternate ending, but it's just one scene. You're just creating one new scene. The requirements for this assignment are 2 documents, so I want to be very clear on this. For the Canvas submission, you'll be able to upload multiple documents. Again, I'm pretty sure I did this. I mean, since we're here, I'll show you right now. But again, I'm pretty sure I did this in module 1. But just in case, I'm gonna do it here too. Okay. There we go. All right. Here we go. So we're on our Canvas page. Again, I'm just working with our modules. If you go all the way to the bottom, oops, actually not the bottom, my bad. We're in module 17. Again, when I'm doing these, I'm kind of all over the place. So My apologies. But here we are, module 17, encoding. The encoding assignment is right here. Notice it's out of 0 points because it's extra credit. You don't have to submit anything, but let's pretend like we are. So just click the assignment. It'll bring you over. And I just also wanted to make sure that I had those links there. I do. So I have the Celtics link in the assignment. So you just click that link to go to the Celtics. Why am I having a hard time there? The Celtics webpage. So you could write your script. Underneath there is the link to the Celtics walkthrough video. So you can just check that out. This is basically the script help thing. It's just listed on your assignment description. I actually don't think I ended up creating a folder in files because I just put it all on the assignment. So here's the link for Celtics. Here's the link for the Celtics video, the walkthrough video. Here's the presentations, our script presentation, our encoding presentation, the one you're looking at right now. And then here's the student example, Samantha Gallegos script, which is like perfect. So I highly recommend checking out this script for format. What else do I want to say here? I'm saying a lot of ums. What did I want to show you? Oh, I want to show you how to submit the script and to submit additional documents. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. All right. So I just reset something. Okay. So let's go to assignments. Go down to encoding assignment, script, and shot list. Oh boy. Okay, ignore this part. Give me a second. Okay. Scroll down, encoding assignment, script, and shot list. And I'm in student view, so this will look just what it will look like on your end after August 18th. Well, let me be clear. Starting on August 18th at 12 a.m. Okay. So to submit your assignments, again, you're submitting a script and a shot list, which I'll talk more about in a bit. But I just want to show you how to submit the items. Go to submit assignment. And again, you're adding 2 files, the script and the shot list. So I'm just going to add 2 files so you know what it looks like. Choose file. Let's see what I got on here. Okay, I'm going to do 1. And I'm going to go to add another file. And I can see my first file attached. I'm doing another file. Choose file. We'll do, I don't know what I have on here. Hail Caesar script. Okay, so I have 2 documents. And this is actually probably what it'll look like on your end, right? You have 1 doc, you have 1 PDF. The PDF is the script, the doc is your shot list. Now I'm going to go to submit assignment. Hopefully I get confetti or balloons. There we go. It's confetti and rocket ships. All right. But my assignment has been submitted. I have the submission thing right here. It says submitted August 15th, 9:49 p.m. Excuse me. Okay. So that's it. That's how you submit 2 documents. Let me stop the share on that. Okay. Let's go back to the PowerPoint to make sure I'm not missing anything. All right. So I showed you how to upload both those documents. Again, the requirements are 2 documents. The first is a 3 to 5 page script of your new scene from beginning to end. That's not very long, right? We wrote a 3-page script in like 15 minutes of complete nonsense. So 3 to 5 page script excluding title page. Okay, so 3 to 5 pages excluding the title page. I just want you to write a new scene beginning to end, and then also submit your shot list. The shot list will have at least 10 setups listed in proper format that covers your scene from beginning to end. So again, to clarify, your script for the new scene needs to meaningfully contribute to the thematic framework of the film, not just a new fun scene. It could also offer some more character backstory. So let me just pause on there. You have quite a bit of room here, right? I just want you to have fun, be creative with the new scene that you're writing, use your tools for dialogue, have a couple of lines that act as thematic exposition, have a couple lines that act as character backstory or depth. But other than that, you could kind of have fun here, right? I want you to just be creative and write a new scene. That being said, do not make it a joke, okay? Treat it somewhat seriously. Again, it's a new scene for the film you did your analysis paper on, so it should fit within that film. I remember I had a student do this paper, and it was a new scene for the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and like their new scene was about how a cowboy finds a cat in the middle of the desert, and the cat can shoot lasers out of its mouth. It's like, no, we're not doing that. So please just treat it with some amount of seriousness. I want to see you have fun with screenwriting, but also treat it seriously. Write a real new scene that explores the characters in some way or contributes to the themes of the film. So remember, use the tools. You're encoding now. You've been decoding all along. Now you're encoding. So encode the script with meaning, right? Again, dialogue is thematic exposition. Dialogue is character building. Plot is metaphor. And then your shot list, you know the 5 elements of cinematography, so utilize them in that shot list. How could you further contribute meaning through your shot list based on what you wrote in the script? So I posted a student example of the script. I didn't do one of a shot list. I don't think you need one. I showed you an example shot list in this presentation. Again, it's just numbering 1 through 10 and then listing the setups that you want. Okay, so that's it. Whoops, there we go. Okay, so assignment is due, extra credit assignment is due December 8th by 11:59 p.m. I think that's it. Okay, if you have any questions, again, please email me or drop in during my office hours every Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. All right. See you later. See you next module.